he's like, okay, Bugs, you got all your friends. I need one person who's actually a basket. It's like, but you keep referencing that this did happen. They all have experience then.
It happened in the servers. It happened to these characters because the movie exists as a movie. So it exists in the Looney Tune world, but not in the real world.
But then they become part of the real world.
We're not there yet. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I'm saving that. I'm saving that shit for when I get super angry. Fuck this movie.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
So if you want to slam, then welcome to another very special episode of Idiot Plot. Today we're talking about the brand new 2-hour advertisement for HBO Max, Space Jam: A New Legacy. I'm David Giannis, joined as always by Alex Ovidal.
Existence is pain.
And Justin Neitzel.
Welcome, the infamous PIG.
That's right. It's out after 25 years, whether we wanted to or not. We finally got a sequel to the sports classic Space Jam. It's here. It's been anticipated. We're
Perhaps not eagerly, but it has been anticipated.
We're going to talk about it and see, is it worth it to have a Space Jam sequel so late? The answer is no.
No.
The answer is not in the fucking slightest.
I had somewhat some anticipation for it. Then they kept releasing trailers and clips, and I was like, okay, it's no thanks.
It did look worse. Isn't that like the worst part though? Is like the bad marketing for the movie was just them releasing clips from the movie.
That's what you know.
Yeah, honestly, it was accurate. It was accurate advertising for it. But the more anybody saw of it, the worse it got, and everybody realized it was going to be a complete disaster. It was even worse than I could have ever imagined, but it was still.
I didn't have high expectations, but damn, you guys really shit the bed.
Yeah, like it was a trip. Like I'll preface my thoughts with that, like, because you guys know this, but people listening might not. I'm a Looney Tunes mega fan. Always have been since I was a kid. I have a bunch of Looney Tunes merch. I have all the DVDs. I know way more about these characters than any normal human being should. At work, on Saturday mornings, they play cartoons and play a game to see if I can guess which cartoon it is just by the first 5 seconds, not knowing the title card. And I'm better at it than I probably should be.
Yeah, you haven't taken a loss, I bet, yet.
No, I've taken some losses. I get really mad, but that's because they show weird ones. But anyway, so I have attachment to these characters, so my thoughts are going to come across. Maybe I'm not the only person who watched this movie and judged it as a Looney Tunes movie. Most people came into it for the sports aspect. Fuck that. I'm here for the cartoon rabbit.
I came into it because you made me.
I came into it because I enjoyed the first one as a child.
Well, I think this actually is an important movie to talk about because I think there are some pretty big implications moving forward when it comes to filmmaking. Yeah, they're not good implications. They're not good, but there's some stuff going forward that this movie introduces that's kind of terrifying. We'll get into that in a second, but first I just want to talk about the first Space Jam. Came out in 1996, the year I was born, directed by Joe Pytka, starring, of course, the true GOAT, Michael Jordan.
The only GOAT. The real Michael Jordan.
And this is a movie. See, this movie is really weird to me. I acted as a kid, like a lot of people did. It's a Looney Tunes movie, fun time. But there was about probably maybe close to 10 years ago now. It was in high school where I started to realize that people like this movie a lot, unironically. And we all know those people, right?
Oh yeah, those are everybody I know that likes Space Jam almost, except for you guys. Well, I don't.
I love the movie as a piece of 90s time capsule because it's the most 90s movie ever.
It is pure 90s.
If you want to learn about the mid 90s, watch the first Space Jam. It has the music, it has the advertising,
the not so subtle product placements.
Yeah, it's insane. But I was so confused because we all know the people, especially in college, right? All the frat bros that ruined this movie by all having Bugs Bunny Toon Squad jerseys.
Yep. And
going to parties with them.
I like geeky stuff.
They actually ruined
I have seen the Marvel movies. I have a Toon Squad jersey. I am a nerd. Too.
I have a man of culture.
But when I started to realize that, I saw they're making a sequel, it's like, oh no, the people that actually want this. And I want more Looney Tunes movies. I always have. I didn't want a Space Jam sequel. First Space Jam did not do the characters justice. Even though it was better than I think some people give it credit for the characters. I do think that the Looney Tunes in some ways were handled pretty well, and others that they weren't. But in some, especially with some of the references and just the pure wackiness, I think they were handled pretty well.
Well, they were handled a lot better than the second one was.
I mean, we did get Lola Bunny, which was handled extremely bizarre.
It created a whole generation of interesting people.
Just watch Cats. You'll get all your furry shit there too.
Okay, let's not go any further down this path.
It's a dangerous one.
With Lola specifically, it was like, because that's the thing about Looney Tunes, right? Is it really isn't a strong female Looney Tunes character. Because like as much as like 90s marketing would want you to believe Tweety's a dude. For some reason, Tweety was all over like girls merchandise. like all the sassy but sweet Tweety shirts.
Yeah, the only one you got is Granny.
And she's not really that big.
This movie, the sequels seem to try to make her big, which...
honestly, I forgot she existed until this movie.
Because they were trying to find ways to add in the strong in Looney Tunes female characters for the representation when there just really isn't any. It's sad, but it's the truth. And Lola was a bizarre thing in that their idea of strong female character was sexy bugs that can do sports. And eventually Lola got good. If people haven't seen the Looney Tunes show from about 10 years ago now, they recast her with Kristen Wiig and completely redid her personality and actually made her into a compelling character. A part where they made her personality opposite of Bugs, whereas Bugs is super like serious and kind of stern. She's kind of a goofball
and crazy,
but also really endearing. Whereas in this one, and she even has lots of personality in the second one.
She's kind of there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I mean, most of them are just they're just kind of there. Like, oh hey, it's the Looney Tunes. Remember them? Buy merch. Buy my shit.
See, and that's things like Space Jam 1. Every Looney Tune character had kind of a major moment. They each kind of have like a signature gag that I can kind of quote. Like Justin, help me out with this. But mommy, I don't want to go to school today.
I'd rather stay home and bake cookies with you.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I still remember the Pulp Fiction joke. I remember Wile E. Coyote blowing up the hoop. I remember the red light, green light bit where Tweety went like karate chopped some people.
Bugs riding a scooter across the court, stealing the ball and throwing it for a basket.
I remember Foghorn Leghorn getting lit on fire and then going, "Did you want regular or extra crispy?" Like I remember all those jokes from a 25-year-old movie. I cannot tell you anything that happened in this new one that I saw less than a week ago.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Foghorn Leghorn has been ejected.
Yeah, it's such a shame too that like, because Space Jam 1 is just, it's not a good movie. That's the thing too about everyone's talking. This is where I'll kind of like, I'm not really going to defend the sequel, but I'm going to justify it a little bit. Everyone's like, the second one is just an advertisement, which it is. But people have forgotten that so was the first one.
Yeah, didn't they make it just...
I would counter by saying the first one is at least I'm countering as the person who likes the first one the least by far out of the three of us, but it was at least a movie. Like, it had a lot of advertising in it. It was a movie with advertising, not an advertising movie.
Well, because the movie was created out of a series of commercials that had Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan called Hair Jordan.
That and typical Space Jam is a Looney Tunes movies featuring Michael Jordan. This new one is a LeBron James movie featuring the Looney Tunes.
And I do think that is an important distinction, because the first Space Jam actually has a plot structure. It actually has, and it has the characters of Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan kind of...
I hate how we have to go to that point.
But that's the truth, right?
Like, it is the fucking truth. Like, oh, hey, the first one had a 3-act structure, a beginning, middle, and end. Like, oh, it was an actual story. because the new one is not. So
no, the new one is not really a movie. And to defend the first one even more, in terms of animation, the first Space Jam movie, from a purely technological standpoint, is one of the most important animated movies ever made. The way they handled the visual effects and combining the live actors with the animation revolutionized that for a digital space. It was like the first film to do it digitally and completely revolutionized it. I mean, it created new tech. I'm reading right here. $1 million of the film's budget was just on processing units and computers for the render farm for the visual effects.
Well, you gotta think about it. I mean, this is back in 1996. I mean, our laptops probably have more processing power than the stuff they had.
Yeah, like it's amazing. So from that point of view, this movie is actually extremely important. Like it says here, like 2D animation background layers were first done on paper before being scanned into Silicon Graphics image files through Cambridge Emission Systems software Animo. Like that whole thing, and then Cinesite doing Photoshop work with it, like that has now been done a lot. It's like now the go-to process. It's extremely important, and it's thanks to Space Jam, which is feels really weird to say.
Say out loud.
But like, I guess important question. If you guys were to score the first Space Jam right now, what would you give it?
You go first.
Two, unironically.
I'd probably say 2.5.
Oh, I would say 2. But I also don't really ironically like it.
Oh, I love it ironically.
Like, I really don't. I mean, I'm like the biggest Jordan fan here, but like, I don't like that movie.
He acted better than LeBron.
I mean, that's very true. I mean, just like everything else, he is better than LeBron.
Which I thought LeBron would actually be better.
He was so bad.
But it's okay. They'll pretend in the reviews that he's better, just like they do on ESPN.
Dude, ESPN is shit now.
We have our first LeBron joke. Yeah, expect more.
But that's the thing. Like this was basically LeBron trying to take on Michael Jordan's legacy with a Space Jam sequel, which finally came out. You can watch it on HBO Max, directed by, according to the trailer,
please
the
watch
director.
I do not pay to watch this movie.
But first, I guess, let's talk about the plot. I mean, Space Jam 1 was about... Shut up. Let me continue. So Space Jam 1 was, of course, about the Looney Tunes. They were have to be enslaved by aliens for like a space theme park, and they enlist Michael Jordan to help him win a basketball game in order to keep the freedom. Makes no sense, but the film honestly rolls with it and knows what it is and goes with it. In Space Jam: A New Legacy, it's about LeBron, who is kidnapped, basically him and his son are kidnapped into a living algorithm computer world called like the Warnerverse 3000 or something, which is like this massive Ready Player One-esque world of all different Warner properties run by the villain of the movie, Algae Rhythm, who is a living algorithm played by Don Cheadle. And in order for LeBron to get his kid back, he needs to beat Algae Rhythm in a basketball game. So he is sent to Looney Tune World and then with the help of Bugs Bunny, who uses LeBron to basically get his crew back, they set out to win a basketball game. So it's like the reverse, right? The first movie is about the Looney Tunes needing MJ to save themselves, and the second one is LeBron needing the Looney Tunes to help him.
Just like in the NBA, instead of, Jordan leads the team and LeBron needs to recruit all of the super powerful allies to actually win.
But in this one, you had Bugs screwing him over every chance he tried to recruit someone good. Because he put together a list of who he wanted. Superman, King Kong, Iron Giant.
Go to the game. Like, why didn't they just pull him into the game then? They're there at the game.
Because
like King Kong's like sitting there.
Because that involves logic, Alex.
I shouldn't have tried.
That was the most distracting thing of this entire movie, was all the background characters. Especially when you have Danny DeVito's Penguins, who's not Danny DeVito, standing next to Don Cheadle. It's like, he doesn't look right.
Because it's just advertising. They're just in costumes as Warner Bros. Characters that they've shown like 8 times throughout the movie because they want to remind you of all of their different products and universes, and it's
remember
disgusting.
The Flintstones? Remember Scooby-Doo? I remember.
And that's the big thing of the plot, right? Is this plot really isn't a story. It's basically, it's them going to all different Warner movies to recruit people, and you going, remember Mad Max Fury Road? Hey, look, it's The Matrix. Hey, look, there's Superman flying around. Which, that's a problem, right? This is a kid's movie, yet all the worlds that they go to are like rated R movies.
Very true.
I mean, I probably would have seen most of those movies by then. I mean, I watched a lot of those as a kid.
But
to be fair, I don't think any kid's going to be seeing Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, the only reason why a kid would see that is if their parents showed them. That's the only reason why a kid would. Because no kid's going to really know what Mad Max is at this, which was a very creepy scene. But that leads to the biggest core issue with this movie is that it's basically there to not tell a story and be a fun time, but to sell us on LeBron James and sell us on Warner properties, and not even in a fun way. This isn't Kingdom Hearts where there's like a heart and soul connecting it. It's so quick and so soulless. Like if they actually,
it's just show stuff.
Yeah, if they actually like explored the worlds they went to and had some fun with it, then it actually could have been a good time. But it's just them reusing clips from other movies and just animating the Looney Tune characters into them.
Yeah, they didn't spend more than 2 minutes in any different universe.
No, it's
those are the ones that
from the
they
famous
created
movie, but there's a Looney Tune in it.
Yeah,
look, Casablanca, but there's a Looney Tune.
Like it's really bizarre because there's good stuff there with that. There's potential for them to actually have fun with that and really play off it, and the movie doesn't. And that's also, I forgot to mention that the first 30 minutes of this movie is basically Looney Tunes free. Yeah. It's just LeBron being a dad, and it's some of the most painful.
And going like, video games are bad. You
need to focus on anything, on nothing but the game. It's like what?
But not the video game.
Who wrote this?
Not a human. This was like not human dialogue. I'm not entirely unconvinced that an algorithm didn't write this.
I was gonna say it was probably written by LG Rhythm.
Well, no, it's written by 6 people. There's 6 credited screenwriters.
And then they put it in a computer and are like, here we go. Like, that's the thing. Like, honestly, like the fact that we're just supposed to accept that WB has this massive server universe and we're just supposed to take that in stride is like, I feel like they want this.
Well, not only that, the big important thing is that this algorithm seems to run the company. The company makes decisions based off what this computer algorithm played by Don Cheadle wants it to do, which kind of is like how this movie got made.
And most of the DC universe.
I mean, it's this weird thing, right? Because it's like in most cases that'd be commentary on the industry, but the studio in the movie is playing it straight.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally shooting at the lot, like, oh, hey, isn't this cool?
They're making fun of themselves, like, hey, we made this decision based off a computer algorithm, ha ha ha. But they're not making fun of themselves. They're treating it like it's actually a serious thing. It's like, no, that's what you're doing right now. You're making fun of yourself, you morons.
Not in a good way.
There's literally like a 2-minute marketing pitch for this thing in the movie. Like, you watch the whole pitch that LeBron watches. It's like 2 minutes long. Like, I just watched a conference room presentation.
It's like anyone involved with this movie doesn't know, 1, how movies are made, 2, how video games are made, because LeBron's son, the big thing is that LeBron's son wants to make video games, not play basketball. But like the way his son makes video games is absolutely absurd. It's so stupid and lazy that's just going to convince. Now we're going to have a whole generation of kids who watch this movie like, I can become video game developers like LeBron's kid. Because LeBron's kid's like scanning like snakes into the game. He has like his app on his phone, lets him like scan players just by off like 2 seconds of video. Now they're just in the game as a fully animated character model.
You mean I can't do that? God. Son of a bitch. There goes the idiot pot game.
Well, my wife's dad makes video games, so I could tell that she was just dying throughout the movie. See, and that's what they were telling people is how games were fucking made.
But yeah, they've probably never played a video game. Like, the algorithm that wrote this movie has never seen a video game.
And LeBron was like, yeah, sounds right to me.
There's so... Well, I think part of it is this movie just doesn't respect its audience. This movie's basically taunting everyone, saying, we know you're stupid. We know that you'll see Space Jam 2 because you're stupid.
Buy our shit.
And we're not stupid. I think a lot of people actually gave this movie the benefit of the doubt, thinking that there actually was some care and effort put into it. And there's none. There's honestly none. It's absolutely appalling to me what this movie tries to get away with at certain times. And I love Warner Brothers. Like, they're like my favorite brand of studio. I love their shit.
At this point, this was
comics.
like, for me, like, I also love more, like, they've made more classics than anybody probably, and they have like all this stuff, and I'm like, this was and like even now, like, they've had been like supporting the big directors and stuff, giving them freedom, but like after something like this, it's like, if this is the direction they want to go, then like as far as like the mega studios, like, you can't even trust Warner anymore. It's like, if this is where they also want to go, then that's like the last domino. Like, all of the big studios are going this direction of just like straight corporate branding, and that driving the entirety of what they make. Like Disney, we've talked about Disney a bunch of times as doing that, and this is like an even more disgusting example than Disney's ever done.
No, Disney did this. Disney made this movie. It's called Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Oh.
Wreck-It Ralph 2 has scenes straight out of this movie where they went to like the Disney.com website, and there's all the Disney stuff, and they run into Star Wars characters, and they run into all the princesses and stuff. Marvel, and at the end, all the princesses help save the day. I know you haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph 2, Alex.
Don't.
I'm not going to.
but it's terrible. It's a terrible movie for the same reasons that this movie's not good. And to be fair, Space Jam 2, I'm not saying that having all the Warner films together is an inherently bad idea. I'm not saying that at all. How they did it was bad.
Well, one thing I'll say, like, a lot of the stuff in this movie, there's some good concepts, just poorly executed badly.
I saw someone on the internet who really wishes that the color commentator wasn't Laurel Howe. It was Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Because that's really what they should have done, right? They should have embraced more of the Warner stuff. Like, throw in Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Throw in some more HBO stuff. Throw in some weird stuff. I mean, I was shocked some of the cameos. I did not expect Rick and Morty to show up in this movie, even though I really probably should have.
Yeah, it was literally any like super trendy one right now is all that showed up. Like, that's all they're going to show, because that's all they want us to go, oh, hey, there they are, and and they think you're just going to be stupid and enjoy the movie because of that.
But I did see this in theaters. I think I was the only one to see this in theaters.
Right, yeah, you were absolutely the only one. There's no chance in hell I would pay to see this movie.
Which I did solely because I wanted to see Looney Tunes in a theater, and I'm glad I did, just for the social experiment aspect of it, of seeing all these kids that were having a good time, and I'm glad they were having a good time.
So this is how Liberty dies.
I mean,
with thunderous applause.
People were clapping in the movie. They were cheering during the basketball game like it was an actual game. It was kind of unsettling just because of how gross some of the marketing was, because it's like lack of effort put into it, because you have all like the blurry CGI models in the background during the basketball game that are all on like a loop, which was like a homage to the original Space Jam, because if you watch the crowd in the original Space Jam movie, it's all like the same 5 characters copy pasted, but it was done through, I think, AI. So you get some weird combinations where like the head of one character is put onto the body of another, and it just looks kind of creepy. I think they're kind of going for that. But like you have like there's like the Nun from the Nun, Space Ghost just kind of flying around. It's meant to be like cool Easter eggs, but it's distracting. It doesn't really add anything.
Especially when the characters look so off, like the Danny DeVito, the Mask, Pennywise. It's just like, it's not right.
Yeah, and they're all like booing. It was weird. I couldn't tell what side the Warner characters were actually on.
Yeah, no, they like cheer for like the bad guys at the beginning, and they just
say their name. I want to hear you say their name. Say the team name.
The team. I don't remember, dude.
The Goon Squad.
Like, I honestly, I'm not even.
Squad.
I'm not even convinced that this movie is real and that I didn't just like fever dream this. So like, there are already elements that I'm like forgetting. I mean, like, the villain's name is so cringy that I can't even say it out loud.
LG Rhythm.
Oh God.
Well, and
this time, we all know the cringiest part of the movie, and we all knew it was coming.
Before we get there, I did mention that there is the Space Jam 1 aspect where they play the basketball team that's inspired by other players, but this time it's video game characters that's like directly taken from
the movie. Like the other players aren't even in this movie, really. Like the first one had a decent amount of the other players. This is Anthony Davis is just there for the game. Like he's just there.
Well, it's not really Anthony Davis. It's a fully animated character. It's not even mocap. He just did some voiceover as the Birdman, and Dana Taurasi is like the Snake Woman. It's weird.
Well, also comparing it to the first one, they keep mentioning the first one, talking about the first one, and it's like LeBron's like, I need a basketball team. And he's like, I need a person who actually he's like, okay, Bugs, you got all your friends. I need one person who's actually a basket. It's like, but you keep referencing that this did happen. They all have experience then.
It happened in the servers. It happened to these characters because the movie exists as a movie, so it exists in the Looney Tune world, but not in the real world.
But then they become part of the real world.
We're not there yet. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I'm saving that. I'm saving that shit for when I get super angry. Fuck this movie. Yeah. So then they fight and they play and also they're not even playing basketball. That's the part that pissed me off.
Style points. It's a game. You gotta be fancy and the rules just kind of changed because they decided that this game needs to be an hour. The game lasts an hour.
The game is half the movie.
An hour. This whole movie should be. I mean, this isn't a movie, but this whole thing should be like an hour.
I will.
In the game lasts an hour.
I will admit, I didn't mind the style points thing because it kind of reminded me of playing like NBA Street.
Yeah, his game is just. That kid needs to be sued for fucking copyright infringement. His game is just fucking NBA Jam. His game is just shitty NBA Jam. Like he's gonna get hit with a fucking copyright claim the second that hits the App Store. But it forms the entire basis of this movie.
Also, I have to say too, that kid sees his dad grow up with the fucking Looney Tunes and just acts like it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are like gonna be trapped in there forever and die there, and like nobody cares.
Well, you've said it how many times, David? They acted like the Looney Tunes are the rejects, but they're literally the corporate mascots.
If they're the rejects, then how come Al G broke them up? Exactly.
You're logicking too much for this movie. This way to think about anything.
But that's the issue, right? This movie does not respect the characters. Yeah, I'm at that point now. Fuck it. I'm at my peak here. This movie, it does not respect the Looney Tunes. It does not respect the legacy. It treats them like the corporate mascots that Warner wants them to be, not the actual full-fledged characters they are. And part of it is that these new Looney Tune creators, minus the new show, if you want to see good modern Looney Tunes, the Looney Tunes show isn't bad, but really Looney Tunes cartoons on HBO Max is where you want to go. They are great. They're not all as good as some are, but when they hit the peak crazy, it hits the peak crazy because they're violent, they're disturbing, the weird, and they'll remind you just how fucked up the old cartoons were. Because there's something about the characters that Warner Brothers seems to have forgotten over the years, or remembers but wants to like erase because I think they're afraid it's not marketable. But the real truth about the Looney Tunes characters are that they are sociopaths. They are true fucking crazy violent sociopaths. That's what they were created to be. A lot of them used to work for Disney, and Disney's characters were like super happy, friendly, everyone got along and worked together, that kind of thing. So Warner Brothers came up with the idea to make their characters douchebags. And it worked. But like these characters are violent, they're crazy. You watch the old cartoons, Tweety especially. Tweety was designed to be the little cutest baby bird doing the most fucked up shit you can possibly imagine. Just beating people with bats and shit.
I mean, the whole bit they even threw here where it was rabbit season, duck season, fire.
Yeah, like that's what should be like Bugs enjoys fucking with people who fuck with him. That's you watch any Bugs Bunny cartoon, that's the plot. Bugs is minding his own business, he's just doing something, some bully comes in and tries to like make him move, or even just like pisses him off, like basically steps on his toe, and Bugs says, you know what? I'm gonna fuck up this dude's life, and does it. And Space Jam: New Legacy treats them like ha ha, bunny throw bomb, ha ha, cartoon violence, slapstick, ha ha ha, but it doesn't get the why behind the slapstick. Slapstick is only funny when you get those well-timed, meaningful gags with it. That's what makes it funny, and that's what this movie doesn't seem to understand. It doesn't understand the motivations as to why the characters are violent and do what they do. It instead completely sidelines them and basically makes them all act the same.
Basically.
And also where Space Jam 1 succeeded too was embracing the legacy characters and a lot of the more forgotten ones. Whereas this one, we see that there's more than just the main characters that were there, but they don't come back. Where's that big moment where all the side? I mean, that's what I wanted to see, was a moment where you have like they're getting beat, all the other Warner characters are like laughing at them and stuff. Everyone else is kind of laughing at them, but then all the other Looney Tune characters come back and support them, and you get like this big moment of all the legacy characters. But that costs too much, so they wouldn't do that. But even like Marvin the Martian, why is Bugs Bunny like, I want my friends back, except you, Marvin, fuck you?
Yeah, that was weird to me. Like, why did they like steal his shit? Like, they never like invite him on the team. He's just like, they just discard him.
And he's like one of like the most popular characters from that whole brand.
Because they don't know what they have.
Discarded. But that's a moment too, right? If you want to truly embrace Warner's legacy, have them steal a spaceship from a different Warner brand.
And you have it now.
Have them. If you want to embrace Warner Brothers, embrace Warner Brothers.
Have them steal the Rick and Morty spaceship.
Yeah, do something like that. Have them go into a different world and steal something from that. Have fun with it. If we're gonna make it a commercial, at least Ready Player One it and have fun with it.
Yeah, but I don't think LeBron knows how to have fun.
I mean, the movie kind of confirmed it until he hangs out with Bugs Bunny and then's like, you know what, we can have fun.
And I'll try to be loony by just making weird faces.
I mean, it's very obvious that he was just by himself in a green screen room and didn't really know how to act with something that wasn't there, or people that were there.
I mean, they couldn't have some mocap or something.
It didn't look like it. It looked like it was all CGI. It should have been mocap.
I mean, I remember the behind the scenes of the original. You had Michael Jordan actually playing against people in green suits.
Those behind the scenes videos are disturbing to look at. They're really weird. But I mean, because this film was just lazy, right? Where in Space Jam 1, they had to create all that technology in order to do that. In Space Jam 2, they can just be lazy and go into a mocap or a studio or some sort of like green screen room and just do shit, and they'll just make the movie in post later.
Well, you could tell LeBron was too busy for the entire shooting schedule, so they made half of it animated.
I was thinking that. You were saying, Alex?
Yeah. I mean, you can tell the whole thing is in like a giant green screen studio and literally on the lot. I mean, any scene that's not in the giant CG computer algorithm space is on the fucking WB lot. They literally just shot at like the entrance to the lot.
Yeah, where Lamar was.
Very highly saturated to make it look nice and squeaky clean. There's no fucking people honking and getting in accidents 2 feet away. It just looks nice and clean.
Hey, to be fair, I've visited the Warner lot twice now. I love that tour.
It is a really nice lot. I mean, it's in Burbank, so there's not actually like, I mean, they're certainly not putting it anywhere else. That's a nice spot.
It just got updated too, the tour. But that's the one where I recommend people are going to go if that's a good tour to visit. Fuck this movie, but that's a good tour.
Maybe Lamar will be your security guard.
Yeah, I love that. I told you guys that I was the only one that picked up that Lamar from GTA 5 was the.
Oh yeah, I knew he was from somewhere. I couldn't place him at all.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I'm like, he looks familiar.
Because they didn't let him be funny, so I was like, I feel like I've seen this guy before.
And I'm sorry if our rambling is very like incoherent, but like this movie is so hard to analyze because it's kind
rambling
of
incoherent.
Like yeah, everything. There's no real rational way to discuss this movie. This movie is a fever dream. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I've said, it completely disrespects some of the greatest characters ever created by just not letting them be themselves and have their own personality. I mean, like Taz only has one bit. Foghorn doesn't do anything. Gossamer does more than a lot of the big characters do. But of course, now we can talk about it. The big moment that everyone knew going into this movie that I think they released as like get hype marketing, but in reality, I think it made everyone terrified of this movie, and that's the Porky Pig rap.
One of the most ungodly things ever unleashed in a movie. They should be ashamed of themselves for this horrifying cringe.
I get it. He stutters, so he's really good at rap.
The fact that he turned the stutter into like beatboxing, God. And of course, that's the part that all the kids lose it at in the theater.
Well, I'm sure.
I would have left. I mean, like, it was painful.
Well, it's just out of freaking nowhere.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of the game, they just stop and set up a stage in the middle.
That's because that's them trying to replicate Looney Tune pacing, right? Of just random shit whenever something happens. That's what the first movie had. That's what I like about the first movie is it goes from like joke to joke to joke to joke really fast. Where in this one, all the Looney Tune bits and jokes are like super drawn out for no reason.
But the problem is it also didn't feel very Looney Tunes.
They take forever. But that's like the Porky Pig joke, right? Like, the Porky Pig joke was supposed to be like, get it, they're Looney Tunes, so it's super random, funny bit. But it's like a 2-minute bit.
Yeah, it went on for way too long.
And I think, of course, the main problem, besides the fact that it fucking exists, is that it thinks it's good. Like, when it's just one of the most painful things I've ever heard.
Well, and the characters are like, moving around. I mean, like, and it doesn't like look right. Like, it looks like that even like the animators were like unsure of what they were doing.
Do you imagine having to animate that and listen to that over and over and over?
Well, let's be honest. The entire time the tunes are 3D, the animation was like, what the hell are we doing, guys? They look unsettling.
Bugs Bunny rapped in the original soundtrack. Not a lot of people know that. There is a Bugs Bunny rap on the original soundtrack that's not terrible. It's not good, but it's not awful.
I remember now.
It's got enough on Mickey on rapped.
Now you remind me of that. I remember that now. I had that soundtrack. I never played that.
Everyone had that soundtrack. I can't believe we haven't talked about, in some of the first movie, we didn't talk about the
theme song is by far the best part of that movie.
Like, that's some of the most get hype songs ever.
That's an all-time banger. And the soundtrack in this, like, I don't even remember any of it. There's like nothing.
There's that one where like the guy made like a Looney Tune rap, or we're just like it was like we're getting loony. Like, oh god, that was so cringy. Oh god, this is so painful to me because I don't want to think about this movie. Like Justin, like you said, the animation is like really shittily done.
Like even like the toon animation was not done very well either. I thought
it's like cheap TV animation. In the CGI, like all their eye lines are off and wrong. Bugs Bunny with real fur just doesn't look right.
No, they all look terrifying when they're like 3D.
And Porky and Elmer also look just fucking disturbing.
You know what they remind me of? They look like they're straight out of a Jimmy Neutron episode.
Dude, they do. They look like Jimmy Neutron characters. Or
Dude, we should have had a Carl Weezer rap, man.
Oh my god, this movie. I'm trying to avoid where we've logically ended up, which is the part of the movie that absolutely broke me. Which is the end. No, we're gonna spoil the end of the movie.
Fucking spoil this, who cares? Who can no?
Because honestly, if you're gonna see this movie, this part should be unspoiled because it is.
Okay, this actually made me laugh like hysterically.
Like this part of the movie is fucking believable because I'm gonna talk for a little bit because I was the one that was most destroyed by this part. Like this part it legit fucking broke me. So I'm in the theater, I'm watching it, and the game's almost done. Allergy's taking over the game. LeBron's son loves him. Who really cares at this point? I was done. I was over. I wanted to go home. But in order to stop it, because now LG is cheating. He's taking control of the game and basically won't let them win. Because if Toon Squad loses, then a bunch of real people who got sucked into this world by their phones, we trapped in this forever.
Why does he want all of them there anyway?
But also, too, it's supposed to be like a big event. There's like 200 people that got sucked in. Like now a ton of people got sucked into this big thing. But basically, he wants them to. So basically, these people are trapped in this virtual hell, right? And the only way to do it, they realized that because this is his son's game that they put on a big thing. But his son's game had a glitch in it. I couldn't think of the word for a second. Had a glitch where if you did this certain LeBron move, it froze the game, but the character would have to be deleted or removed, which doesn't really happen in video games that much. If the glitch is that bad, then that's actually really bad. But they realized that, they can break the game and get them free of Algae's control. But whoever does it it will be deleted and basically die. So LeBron says, I'll do it. I'll sacrifice myself. I'll do it, which I guess probably LeBron probably wouldn't do it in real life. But in the movie, he's like, I'll take one for the team and I'll do it.
No, but see, somebody else does it, so it's just like real life where his teammates have to make the actual sacrifice.
I'm getting there.
Well, he only said it. He would do it because he's like, oh, I'm not attuned, so nothing will happen to me.
But Bugs, who's selfish this whole movie, basically takes the ball from LeBron, steals it, and does the move, and basically gives his life to win the game. And they try to do like everyone remembers how Space Jam 1 ends, where LeBron sort of just hit his arm out like 40 feet and sinks a dunk, and they try and do something like that in this one, but it's just super lame. You have like this really terrible CGI Don Cheeto monster looking thing that's just attacking LeBron. This looks awful, but that's what they do. They basically do it. They score, they win the game. They're celebrating, but Bugs is dying. And I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking Bugs will be fine. There'll be some last minute, thing will come and save him. They'll find some cure and he'd be fine. Nope. Bugs fucking dies, and LeBron leaves before he dies too, which is really kind of weird. LeBron has kid just to leave as Bugs just lays there dying there with all his friends. And when I say he dies, he actually fucking dies. Bugs Bunny dies for our sins.
And
his spirit
to a higher
ascends into space and explodes into a weird Bugs Bunny like fireworks shape.
Ghost figure, yeah. Like,
and my brain,
the Gangsta's Paradise choir.
My brain at that moment broke like a fucking egg.
I promise you, this is real. This is actually real. Like, we didn't make this up.
Yeah. This is. Yeah, I could tell you. I told people, and they wouldn't believe me that Bugs Bunny dies in the movie. And I'm just sitting there.
I thought F9 going to space in a Pontiac was hard to explain to people. I just saw Bugs Bunny die for our sins and ascend to like the fourth dimension. So
Bugs Bunny dying in a Jesus Christ metaphor is an instance I would never have to say, but it happens, and I think it's supposed to be such an emotional moment, like kind of Iron Man dying.
I was laughing so hard,
but it's Bugs Bunny.
I just kept waiting for him to come back.
Like I was stunned. Like my wife was like, so my wife has a thing where if I get like upset because of my autism, she'll like rub my back to calm me down because that works. She was like giving me like a full massage in the movie theater, trying to calm me down because my face was like frozen in complete shock. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. I was like, what in the fuck? And then I eventually accepted it and came down. But then the movie ends and Bugs is suddenly in the real world and is still very much alive. And then that flipped my switch back the other way. And like you would think I'd be relieved, like Bugs is alive. No, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I exploded. Like, what is happening with this movie?
On the third day, Bugs again.
The fucking Easter? Like, what the hell happened? Is that why it's the Easter Bunny?
The Easter Bunny, yeah. It's Bugs.
Because Bugs came back from the dead after sacrificing himself. But also brings the other question. So at the end of the movie, Bugs says, hey, LeBron, like, I brought all my other friends with me. Does that mean they, like, went, like, full Jonestown?
They all drank the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, because they drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, did Bugs, like, somehow show them a way to another plane of existence, or do they all have to kill themselves to ascend and then go into the real world?
Or were they all...
Of course, they literally never thought anywhere close to this far, but we're going to take this to its, quote, logical
Here, I got one. They were all depressed and were like, because their main man Bugs wasn't with them anymore.
Stop! I'm stopping you. I'm going. I'm not gonna let you finish that sentence.
All right.
Because I know where you're going. But it's so... I like to think it was like a Meat Canyon bit where Bugs returned and was like, would you like to ascend?
No, to see God.
Wait, I've done this before.
Honestly, well, no joke. Like going on the Meat Canyon video, which if you haven't seen Meat Canyon Space Jam, look that up. But
first, watch Wabbit Season.
Right, watch Wabbit Season. But legitimately, like the video, which of course he would have had to animate and voice before this movie came out, literally like predicts a scene in this movie because he's like going through the motions and doing the Wabbit Season video again, and that's what happens with the Duck Season rabbit. Like that happens in this movie, where like he tries to get LeBron to go through the scene that he's done before. So literally, he predicted a scene in this movie.
And we got Big Chungus.
Yeah, they're a big chunk of shit.
Yeah, another like I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, dude, that meme is like 3 years old, and like they're just trying very hard.
Well, that's what studios do. They're like, oh, this meme's hitting right now. Let's throw it in a movie that'll come out in 2 years, and it won't be relevant anymore.
Like a first draft joke that comes out how many years later.
I do want to kind of end the death discussion because there is some payoff to it. Of my wife decided to film a video of me in our car in the parking lot.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Screaming about this fucking movie. I don't think we'll release the full video ever because it doesn't paint me a very flattering light.
What, sweat and buckets?
Yeah, I left that movie. I left the movie coated in sweat. I don't know why. I left the movie drenched in sweat, looking like Papa John. And just
is this like the reckoning he promised?
Hyperventilating, and like my wife Helena, who's been on a podcast, probably should have been on for this one because she could tell you first person my reaction. I think was fear that I was having an anxiety attack and was like not gonna be able to drive us home.
I mean, of all the movies we've seen together, this one is the one I've seen you get most upset about.
Because Bugs Bunny died, Justin.
I know. I just
died in the Jesus Christ metaphor. I don't know how to rationalize that in my brain.
I get that. I'm just saying. Of all the movies I ever thought you'd get pissed off about it, I didn't expect it to be Space Jam 2.
I bet Alex did.
Yes, I absolutely. I didn't know it would be that bad, but like I felt like if you were gonna get pissed at something because of the Looney Tunes thing, it would be this.
I felt like because Alex saw the movie after the video came out. I saw it before, but I feel like I didn't have to watch the video because I spoiled it. And I feel like you knew what that video was about as soon as you saw that scene.
Oh yeah.
But like I forgot a lot of because I actually made some pretty good points in my random screaming and yelling. But I guess it's more of just the sheer absurdity of what I saw and what this movie happens in this movie. It's hard for me to mentally comprehend. And I'm not saying that as a Looney Tunes fan, like Bugs shouldn't have died. It's not canon. It's not what I'm at all. It's how they did it and just fuck you to everyone.
Well, then he doesn't even stay dead. He's back.
By having him die and not be able to commit to it.
And that's always the problem with.
I think that would have also been funny if he like stayed dead, which of course
that would be weird, right?
No Bino would ever do, but that would be like almost just as funny as like if he just stayed dead.
Well, that was my fear too. Is like, wait, is Bugs Bunny dead in canon? Like, I mean, like my parents showed up because I was like, wait, how does this work now? What do you do if Bugs Bunny's dead in canon? Are they gonna come back like the next one? Like, are they just gonna open it up?
The new one will be Looney Tunes: The Search for Bugs.
Either that or his ghost spirit will show up and
give the whole WB universe instead of through space like Star Trek. They go through the whole WB universe looking for bugs. So they'll go to all those planets and into all those movies and look for bugs, and we get more advertising.
I thought that he would show up as like a Force ghost and be like,
"Feel free to use this WB,"
and give him a motivational speech at halftime.
Speaking of halftime,
oh my gosh,
we didn't talk about the halftime joke. Alex's favorite joke.
It's not a joke. It's not even a joke. But like it's the most predictable joke I've ever seen. It's like 5 minutes of halftime, like, oh, we gotta get somebody, oh, and it's like, of course they're gonna say Michael Jordan, but of course it's not gonna be Michael Jordan because why would he want to be anywhere near this fucking trash? Like he's not gonna show up because LeBron is so far beneath him that he doesn't give a shit. So he's just not gonna show up. So of course it's gonna be Michael B. Jordan. So they go, oh, it's the wrong Michael Jordan. No, you didn't get the right one. And then that's it. That's the whole joke. They spend 5 minutes building this joke up. They do the 90s Bulls theme. They do like the silhouette. And it's like, it's not going to be Michael Jordan.
But what if it actually was Michael Jordan?
And maybe I would have gotten a chuckle like, oh man, what's he doing here?
To sub in for LeBron, be like, go sit on the bench while I finish what you couldn't do.
That somehow.
You knew he wasn't going to show up.
The whole time, like there was a 0% chance Michael Jordan would go anywhere near this movie.
He hated the first. He hated making it. He wasn't going to come back.
He's a billionaire. Why would he want to be in this shitty movie?
Bill Murray made a cameo at the end in all the photos. The one where he's playing golf. That's Bill Murray next to him.
Oh, see, once the end credits started, I was like, I'm not sitting through to watch these photos, so I stopped.
You're like, I'm out.
Because they're in the real world.
Because I was like, oh, there's that famous photo, but the Looney Tunes are in it. I'm like, I can't watch like 10 more minutes of this shit.
Like that's I guess the big thing now that we've reached the end of the movie. Again, apologies for rambling, but there's just so much to cover with this garbage.
I apologize for nothing.
It deserves all the hate it gets.
But like, I wanted so bad to see another Looney Tunes theatrical movie because I don't think Back in Action is that bad. I actually like Back in Action. That's the worst parts of that movie are Brendan Fraser and Jenna Elfman, but the actual Looney Tune parts are solid. Whereas in this movie, the Looney Tune parts are just as shit as the rest of the film.
I'd say, can we just get a Looney Tunes movie? But I don't think they'd know what they're doing with the characters.
Well, Jenny Slate wrote a Looney Tunes script a few years back that she has said is sitting in a vault somewhere, probably never to be made. Because she said it was like not like a studio film. It was a lot more abstract of a movie, which you almost have to do with Looney Tunes.
At this point, yeah.
It's very hard to I would say, do like a normal 3-act structure movie with just those characters. Granted, this is not the weirdest. Yeah, I'm super happy about this episode. It means like I should do a Looney Tunes episode and share my vast, worthless knowledge base. Because this might not be the weirdest Looney Tunes media I've personally witnessed. That has to go to issue, which I can't find this. It's at my parents' house somewhere, but I can't find it. That has to go to issue 2 of the 1990s DC Comics Looney Tunes series titled Bugs Bunny. It was a 3-issue miniseries where basically it's like Looney Tunes Infinity War, where Bugs and Daffy are trying to get these weird stone idols before Witch Hazel does. Otherwise, she'll take over the planet. But in the second issue of the 3-issue storyline, they go to China, where Daffy Duck is abducted by the Communist Party and forced into to work on a commune farm. I have no proof of this because I don't have the book in front of me, but I know it happens, and it is bizarre. I'm not sure if it's as bizarre as Bugs Bunny Died, but it's pretty close. But if you're up for weird cartoon stuff, I do recommend that series, although it's kind of hard to find. There's tons of weird shit like the communists kidnapping and brainwashing Daffy Duck. I never thought I would say that sentence, but you know, Bugs Bunny gave his life in the movie, so I guess everything's on the table.
Yep.
At this point, but it's weird because like part of it, because I want to see these characters continue. There's a good chance that this movie probably killed whatever hype they had left, and it'll probably be a long time before we see them in a movie again. The show is doing good. The show's getting tons of praise, so hopefully they don't punish them for this movie.
Well, and again, it's a LeBron movie featuring the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes didn't have a lot to show what they got.
Please, WB, when this fails, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Please blame LeBron. It's not South Bugs' fault.
Well, it's a good thing LeBron doesn't have a deal with them. He traded the Looney Tunes for Uncle Drew and a lifetime Pepsi contract.
That's true. He went to Universal now with it for an exclusive deal. So he's not. So I don't think he can come back for a third one, even if he wanted to. So he switched teams. He took his talents to Miami. I mean Universal. Where was that TV special?
To see all the Looney Tunes and small children get sad that he's going to Universal.
I'm joining the Minions and Shrek over at Universal.
I honestly can't believe they showed the decision in that opening montage. They should have shown all the sad kids.
I know, right? I mean, I couldn't believe they were showing him moving around. That and it's like, I know the first Space
I'll tell you what, they didn't show the Mavericks final series, I'll tell you that much.
They showed a lot of freaking Michael Jordan highlights. It's like, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, but it's like Michael Jordan's highlights were a lot more fun to watch than freaking LeBron's.
Well, because for some reason they did LeBron's highlights like some slow ass song instead of the hype, which is Space Jam by Quad City DJs. If they had a jammer, like honestly, just use the OG Space Jam theme. Just have someone else record it and make it like. There's no reason to change what song it is.
That's what a bunch of other movies do.
Unless LeBron just wants.
He's like, I want to do one that's my own and it's better, which of course it's worse.
I guess there is now some implication talking about the future of this movie if it's successful. It opened up #1 at the box office on its first week with $31 million, which really is not a lot of money. like there's a saying, it's #1, it's a huge hit. It made 31 mil. That's not.
But if you listen to last week's, you'll know we were all wrong on how far we thought Black Widow would go.
See, yeah, I mean, we did say it's true. We did take bets, and I think we all said under, and Alex changed his thing to push, and the number was 30.
That was close, but I also said Black Widow would be #1. I did not anticipate it falling that hard.
Yeah. So Space Jam did open up #1. Its current box office reported take is $53.2 million as of this recording, on a $150 million budget. budget. It's not going to make that back.
Wow.
It's going to be considered a bomb, yet they'll still frame it as a win because of the HBO Max thing, which is kind of bizarre to me.
Yeah,
half that budget went to LeBron.
Yeah, people forget CGI is expensive.
Very expensive. Yeah,
that
like
half the movie
they
is
assume
animated.
because like everybody does it that it's like, oh, they do it because it's cheaper, this and that. Like, no, it's legitimately like, I mean, sometimes of course they can't do things physically, but like, no, a lot of times it's legitimately they just don't wanna, and it's easier to do, but it's significantly more expensive. So that's how these budgets just balloon because CG is expensive as hell.
It's easier, but it just costs more money.
See, people, go back out and shoot on live areas.
I mean, they can't really do that with this movie unless you're gonna just
I know, but
bunny
get a real rabbit.
I meant more like other movies that use CGI too much.
But the movie it doesn't even like look good, even without like the CGI. Like CGI looks ugly, but like the lighting is shit, and even like 2D animation. Everyone pokes fun at the OG Space Jam for having really crappy looking 2D animation. It looks better than this.
It looks like the lighting looks like a WB tour video.
It does. It really does. Or like a TV short.
Yeah, like that oversaturation. Like it's just it just looks like an ad, which I mean it is. So
please give us money.
Now, the big thing with this movie is that it's getting torn apart by critics, which is awesome. However, just to read some headlines of Space Jam reviews, they do seem like they are just kind of fighting with each other to see who can come up with the snappiest headline, which you usually see with these really bad movies. But at the same time, people just review the movie. You're not comedians. The one that's getting infamous though is the Variety one, where it's like Space Jam New Legacy dunks on the original.
Yeah, I did love that. Like the majority of the reviews are negative, but some of the early ones that were probably bought are like that, and they're like super positive. It's like, oh, what? And everybody else is just like taking a dump on it.
So, New Yorker, Space Jam 2, Roadrunner, and the misplaced hand-wringing over digital manipulations. Space Jam's original director said it took him... this is the OG director. Space Jam's original director said it took him 5 attempts to watch LeBron James in A New Legacy. So that's Joe Pitka, the OG director. Or Screen Rant. Space Jam's 2 box office explained why it's so popular. It's not popular. It's made $50 million. That's not good. That's not popularity. Space Jam A New Legacy spoiler review. It could have been worse. No, it couldn't.
Could have been better.
Space Jam 2 is nothing but corporate synergy. Boom, there we go. Space Jam 2, A New Legacy review. This is from Vox. An apocalyptic horror movie. New York Post, Space Jam, A New Legacy review. LeBron James film is an abomination. The Space Jam soundtrack, insult to children. Let's see. I'm gonna find the Variety one. We're gonna break down this. Vulture. Okay, Vulture nailed it.
Okay, I was waiting for this one. I think
Space Jam: A New Legacy never thought it could be a good movie.
No, what was it? Was it Poly? Who did the Space Jam: A New Legacy is the terrifying future of entertainment?
That was Polygon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So this is Variety's review. Space Jam: A New Legacy review. LeBron James sequel easily dunks on the original. This is by Amy Nicholson.
Does it say psych in the first line?
This meta comedy serves up a rematch with even rowdier fans. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Professional basketball players are a marvel seemingly created by animator's pen. Elongated arms, mountainous shoulders, whirlwind speed, and ability to leap over defenders in a single bound. Even among other athletes, they're unique physical outliers and capable of blending into a crowd, let alone a movie, unless playing themselves or unless their scene partner is also able to contort into a rocket and blast up into space, i.e. is a cartoon. This was a setup of 1996's Space Jam, which challenged the Chicago Bulls' Michael Jordan to team up with Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, and Elmer Fudd to win a basketball game that would secure the Looney Tunes' freedom from evil corporate overlord. That Space Jam itself was a product of corporate overlords teaming up like the Harlem Globetrotters to ball hog children's attention spans with an irony missed or forgiven by a certain audience. Kids who have absolved the movie for being directed, make that assembled by Nike's top shoe commercial director. Joe Pico was their best commercial director. That is true. But this person also seems to be forgetting that this movie was made with the same thought in mind. One of those kids was 11-year-old LeBron James. 5 years later, James would become the first high school basketball player to make the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like Jordan, James is the hoop star of his era, and the spirit of intergenerational competition has dared himself to make a superior sequel. Yeah, that's why. When James commits, he commits, and he's committed so seriously that when asked if he'd be repping the USA at this year's Olympics in Tokyo, he replied, "No, I think I'm going to play for the Toon Squad this summer instead."
I can't tell if this is ironic or not. Like, I know it's not, but like this honestly reads ironically.
Point LeBron, though it's a low bar to clear. Space Jam: A New Legacy is chaotic, rainbow sprinkle colored nonsense that, unlike the original, manages to hold together as a movie. Wait,
what?
Here. Once again, an NBA legend slips into a netherworld populated by fictional characters who must help him win a basketball game to escape. Bugs Bunny might say, you were expecting maybe the Easter Bunny? Instead, Bugs simply cracks. What? Sounds awfully familiar. God, this is bad. This is
person's trying to be funny, but good God.
Yeah, they're trying to like dunk on like themselves. This is weird. The new villain is Algae Rhythm, embodied by Don Cheadle with limber comic menace. That's something we're gonna do. Like Don Cheadle is having a fun time, but also seems like he knows he's in garbage and is just rolling with it.
Oh yeah, he definitely knows he's in shit.
It's like he's playing his character from the Funny or Die Captain Planet videos. He's like playing it like unironically. It's pretty great. So he's by Don Cheadle with limber comic menace, a digital superbrain who lives inside the Warner Brothers serververse, a computer that contains an archive of the studio's former movies. Rhythm has been created by the studio to boost its fortunes, and his big idea is to scan LeBron the player so Warner Brothers can animate and insert LeBron the cartoon into its franchises. I thought that's what Disney was doing, which one might know is exactly what's happening on screen. The bad guy is merely a good company man. At least that's what all industry executives tell themselves, especially when there's an algorithm to take the blame when things go wrong. Yet when James rejects Al's pitch to battle dragons and LeBron of Thrones, the offended computer zaps the player and his younger son, Dom, into the machine. What in the Matrix hell? Gapes James, who was soon told he must play for his own free will against a goon squad made of monsterized, mutinized skins of actual NBA and WNBA champions, including James' Lakers teammate Anthony Davis, a.k.a. The Brow, who enters the arena as a Cro-Magnon vulture with feathers that drape onto the floor. Is this like it? This has got to be an ironic review, right?
You'd hope.
They were paid off to make a good review, and they're throwing digs at the movie while having to praise it. This is surreal. The invitation to the WB Suggest Library allows director Malcolm D. Lee and a phalanx of writers to expand the playground to include Superman, King Kong, Voldemort, and Casablanca's Elsa, along with more than 100 of their friends and minions. There's a great sequence where LeBron and the Bugs scoop up the rest of the Looney Tunes. What happened to the paragraph? Moved around. Secret Team of LeBron against the rest of the Toon Squad, me and the Looney Tunes from various corners of Warner Brothers archive, which the filmmaking team has contemplated with Talmudic respect. Austin Powers turf Sylvester the Cat. Yikes has been shaved into becoming Dr. Evil's pet, while Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner have transported their existentialist death race to the sandy deserts of Mad Max. God, they're like not even like there's like no praise of the. It's actually like not like a positive review. They're just explaining the movie
and hoping you think it sounds good to make it seem positive.
LeBron's arc, if one genuinely cares about that, is to rediscover the fun in the game via his anarchistic teammates, plus some squishy stuff with his fictional son, and scenes where James genuinely seems to enjoy being outacted by a talented kid. Squishy stuff.
Also, the arc, if one particularly cares about that, if you care about small things like the protagonist arc and like I don't know the movie.
If you care about the
small things like that the story has a beginning, middle, end, and has a main character that has an arc,
or is interesting.
That there's an opposing force that the main character must battle against. It's just small things you might not care.
God, this movie is so bad, and they're trying to justify it. It's like they can't, and they know they can't. I just don't find this. And then the film's been heavily marketed, right? It's everywhere. There's toys. There's the NFT thing that people kind of made fun of the movie for. With all
what was that? Wasn't that another review quote too? Like, this movie is an NFT?
Well, it was a Letterbox fan review, and it said, "Is this what an NFT is?" Which is really funny.
I saw a Letterbox review said, "I miss Bill Murray."
Yeah, some of the Letterbox reviews are pretty great, which this movie is not. And I guess the big thing we kind of been talking about, but not really, is just the sheer corporate dystopia that this movie kind of creates, of just studios praising themselves and marketing themselves. Like I said in the intro, this is the HBO Max ad. It's what this is. Do you guys think that we're going to see more crap like this?
Yes.
Unfortunately. Well, I don't know. It didn't make a lot of money, even though they're trying to play it up.
But, like, this is, like, to me, I mean, obviously Warner's the one who just made this, but, like, this movie and, like, what's in it, I've talked about it a lot, but this is kind of like Disney's Utopia.
I mean, Disney did this. Like we said earlier, Disney did this.
But, I mean, they want it in, like, the real world, like, you know what I mean? I mean, not, like, literally, but, you know, like, a fully integrated Disney verse, you know. What Walt Disney want, like, a city? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
that's kind of what Disney wants.
Warner Brothers kind of did this too already with Ready Player One.
Yeah, but that was at least based off of a source material that was like this. I mean, the Lego movie had it too.
Right, but I think those were, like, this is, like, maybe the most egregious, soulless corporate example, but I feel like those help start this and show that it's possible and that people can get behind the bait, even though those had a story around it, but, like, that signal to them that maybe this could be done.
And I like the idea of a Space Jam movie where more of Warner is brought into it, but wasn't really embraced. It wasn't really a Looney Tunes movie. It wasn't really a Warner Brothers legacy movie either. It was this weird kind of half mix.
It's just an ad.
Hodgepodge.
That ends with Bugs Bunny dying. Because that's how good ad ends, with your most popular character and your mascot dead.
Ascending.
But I think there is some truth in that this is not the end of this kind of corporate usage. I mean, Warner wants to make more of these. It's very clear they want to have a sequel. Even though this movie had a pretty tumultuous creative process, the original director Terrence Nash was removed like 3 weeks into filming.
Like always, LeBron joins and then gets the coach fired.
But LeBron was on this from the start, so that's why it was weird that got to the point where they were filming, and he got fired. Especially because the animation was probably in production or close to long before live action started filming.
Gotta be.
But there was some weird stuff with that too, where Jeff Bergman, who's the voice actor behind Bugs Bunny in this, I wish they brought Billy West back, but Bergman did well enough. He said in a recent interview that he started recording his lines for this movie on, I think, March 3rd of 2020. So he had to record his lines a little bit in person, and then eventually had to do them through Zoom calls and through his home setup because of the pandemic. But they were doing voice acting for this movie within a year of its release with animation that doesn't really happen. If it does, it doesn't really bode well.
Well, typically with that then is, if it's that late, it's usually they're replacing somebody else.
I think he was replacing Eric Bauza. I think Eric Bauza was, because Eric Bauza was originally listed as Bugs. Kath Solis was originally listed as Lola. I think Jim Cummings was originally Taz, but I think he had a lot of his audio redone. It's like Malcolm D. Lee went in and redid a bunch of the voice acting. Brought in Zendaya to play Lola, even though Lola didn't really do anything.
No, brought Gabriel Iglesias as Speedy Gonzalez, and he's in like
who again didn't
two
do
scenes.
He didn't do anything. And honestly, his voice is so altered, you can't even tell it's Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah.
But you have, I think Zendaya was brought in for the future. She was brought in because when Lola is eventually made the lead of the Space Jam cinematic universe, they'll have her
a big
probably
name.
take a bigger role.
You did not need her for this movie. Like,
no. Or maybe they just didn't want, or maybe they just wanted Lola to sound younger.
Maybe.
I do think replacing Bauza with Bergman was the best role, or was the best decision, because I like Eric Bauza's Bugs, but he serves more of the crazy, violent Bugs rather than the more subdued Bugs that Bergman plays.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot of it too. Is like this film seemed to be made last minute with a lot of the decisions. I mean, we didn't see footage until pretty late in the game for an animated movie.
Didn't we only get a trailer at the beginning of this year? Or
we got in like March.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that was when we got the first trailer.
Which is pretty cutting it close for an animated movie. If it's only a few months out. And that first trailer wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't that terrible. And the other trailers were like, this is gonna be shit.
No, the first trailer I was like, okay, it looks stupid. I mean, it's Space Jam. What do you want? Then they kept releasing clip, and you're like, yeah, this is awful.
And the other big thing that I want to call attention to quick with the production of this movie, because like I said, I'm a Looney Tunes super fan. One of my favorite things that got me into Looney Tunes a lot as a kid was the DC Comics Looney Tunes series. Not I mentioned earlier, but the one that is still ongoing today. And part of it was the artist Dave Alvarez. I love him. He's so good. To me, his Looney Tune art is what I think of when I thought of the characters. I didn't think of their actual like designs in the shorts. I thought of Dave Alvarez's designs because they're that good. They're flowed. It moved. I wanted to see him do more with the characters in actual animation. I wanted to see him like design a show and take a big role, which he did a little bit in the Looney Tunes show as a storyboard artist. But I wanted to see him do more like the design work, and I didn't really think he did. Or so I thought. Because according to Cartoon Brew, an article by Alex DeWitt, they did an interview with Dave Alvarez and actually did do design work on Space Jam New Legacy and just was not credited. And for people that are like, maybe just his designs weren't in the movie, they were. He put on Twitter, Daffy's coach design was designed by Dave Alvarez along with, I believe, part of the Foghorn Leghorn Game of Thrones outfit. So he had the design work that was in the movie, and he talked about the frustration of him watching the movie with his family, going to show his kids, hey, Dad's name is in the movie, and it wasn't, and just the devastation of that. And if people are upset about that, you should be, but they should also probably know that Warner did nothing wrong, and legally standing, Warner did nothing wrong. That's the rules of animation. Animation is not regulated. Same with visual effects. There's like no real unions, no real power. It's basically slave labor, and it allows them to do things like this, which are very depressing. I just wanted to call attention to because it is a really big ethics concern in animation.
I mean,
people can put this work in it and not get credit.
This isn't the first time you've heard stories like this. I mean, Sausage Party a couple years ago had the same issues.
That was a big one. Sausage Party was worse.
It's honestly, it's a common, like, it's bad. It's a very common practice.
Sausage Party was straight up slave labor with them threatening you to not put you in the credits if you didn't comply. That was way worse, but it's a similar vein. It happens all the time. It's a common practice. I mean, just 5 years ago, there was a lawsuit against Disney, George Lucas, and a bunch of others for wage fixing, and they lost. Like, Disney lost the wage fixing and proved that the big animation companies were working together to purposely keep wages low, and nobody cared. It's super big exploitation of the labor force, and it's not getting nearly as much attention as it probably should, because if it did and changes were to be made, the cost of movies would go up significantly, because you have to pay people a living wage and actually give them good hours, and that would make the cost go up, and they don't want to do that, obviously. Because CGI is expensive.
We're gonna burn you out until the next guy comes in.
Yep, because they can.
Yeah, and or they'll just go to another company, because like eventually they'll get somebody who's willing to do it the way it is right now. So I mean, CG is already very expensive with how much of it they do, and that's with these conditions. Like, it would get significantly more expensive if it was actually like fair. If they didn't treat them like shit. And it would double labor costs. Yeah, and I mean, there's probably going to be something coming for that. For now, they're going to try and keep it as it is as long as they can. Eventually, something will happen.
It's going to require the people in the industry to fight for themselves, because the studios aren't going I mean, like I said, they got caught fixing wages and purposely keeping them low, and nothing really happened with that. People, viewers and consumers need to step up and say something along with the people that are in the industry. Sausage Party was only a start that sadly wasn't taken as far as it probably needed to. I'm not saying you should boycott this movie or anything, but it's an important.
You should not watch it because it's shit.
Yeah,
but
but also
boycott this movie for this good reason. That way you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, that too. It's just for me, I want to say it because with me as a Looney Tunes fan, that was a super big issue to me. Was seeing a guy who's like a hero of the brand, right? And to see him get screwed like this is pretty gut wrenching.
But it also happens, like you've talked about before, like with comic book creators too. I mean,
all the time with them, all the time. I mean, they don't get paid for the work that they do, basically. Or like Thanos, Jim Starlin, who created Thanos, didn't get a dime from any of that. And yeah, it's his work. It's a fucked up thing. Don't go in animation. Don't go in the comics. Don't go in the visual effects. Don't go in the anime. And don't go in the video games, because this happens all the time. And what's weird too is they've been trying to make a Space Jam sequel for such a long time that after 25 years, this is the one we get. There was Race Jam with Jeff Gordon. There was Golf Jam with Tiger Woods. There was Skate Jam with Tony Hawk, which Tony Hawk talked about recently.
Dude, that would have been weird. That would have been the most 2000s thing ever. That should have happened.
Well, it was going to happen after Back in Action, then Back in Action failed and made that franchise go dormant for like a decade. But the most 2000 things ever with Looney Tunes was Lunatics Unleashed. if people remember that. If you don't, look it up, because now that's a trip.
That is a trip.
Looney Tunes Power Rangers. God, that show was awful.
Season 2 was kind of fun though, because they started poking fun and having fun with they started becoming more Looney Tune-ish.
Yeah, season 2 felt much more like a Looney Tune show, where season 1 was them trying way too hard to
they were trying to be like DC with Looney Tune characters.
Alex, do you know what we're talking about?
I have not the faintest fucking idea what any of this was.
Google it right now.
What is it?
Google Lunatics Unleashed right now. You are not prepared for this.
Oh, this is always
what
fun.
The fuck?
Yeah, it's Looney Tunes Power Rangers.
Is this Looney Tunes anime Power Ranger? What is this?
It's not anime. It's just like an action cartoon.
It kind of looks like it.
Yeah.
It's trying to be like Teen Titans a little bit.
Yeah. Teen Titans meets Looney Tunes.
But yeah, they have like superpowers and fight supervillains.
Oh gosh.
And it's been forgotten. Like Warner Bros. Kind of wants you to forget that this was a thing.
It's kind of funny though. Is like if you meet people who and you mention this, some people are like, I think I remember that. It was bad.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, because it's like a fever dream. It's one of those things where like, was this real or did I imagine this? Did I imagine that there was a Bugs Bunny action show where they fought cartoon villain versions of Looney Tune characters? So the franchise has had some lows. This is one of them. But we did almost get a sequel. The one that was the first sequel is one that I want to talk about just because it just got kind of revealed by Brian Lynch on Twitter and in a video by 3C Films where he talked about Space Jam sequels that didn't come to be. He actually interviewed Brian Lynch over email, and he learned more about it. And I'm mad we didn't get this. So Varsity Bugs, it's about 3 years after Space Jam. It was about this new Warner Brothers executive who wanted to switch to CGI movies. So he wanted to get rid of the Looney Tunes. So he found a clause where any employee at Warner Brothers has to have graduated from high school. And it finds out that the Looney Tunes haven't graduated from high school. So they have to go back to high school, kind of like Billy Madison, but Looney Tune characters. Where it gets crazy is the callbacks to Space Jam, such as the main human character is a guidance counselor. But the movie opens, so we all remember how Space Jam opened, right? Michael Jordan as a kid playing basketball with his dad, and then a montage of highlights from his life, right? This was going to open with this guidance counselor character as a kid wanting to become a guidance counselor like Michael Jordan wanted to play basketball, and then a high energy montage of this random guidance counselor's life. in his rise through the ranks as a guidance counselor.
Because when I think of Space Jam, I think of guidance counselors.
Well, this wasn't Space Jam. This is Varsity Bugs. It wasn't trying to be Space Jam. It was trying to like make fun of it. So there was that joke. Keanu Reeves was going to be a supporting character because it was going to be revealed that Keanu Reeves also didn't graduate from high school. So as they're going through high school, Keanu Reeves was just going to randomly show up and get like nerdier and nerdier. The nerd looks we're gonna have like their own like accounting firm because the Looney Tunes were gonna go to them for help and just be like they're like accountants now. They don't care. There's some cool callbacks. It doesn't sound terrible. I kind of wish it was the movie we got instead of this one. Not that this sounds that amazing, but it sounds better than what we got.
I would have loved one if they would have changed up the sport or something.
See, I just want to see a Looney Tunes movie that's about the Looney Tunes instead of trying to force them into something else, or do the Muppet approach. Honestly, doing Looney Tunes versions of popular stories, I don't think is a bad idea. Like everyone talks about them doing like a Muppets Great Gatsby. I want to see a Looney Tunes Great Gatsby, even if it's just like a direct-to-video movie.
Well, that's the other thing is like if you're gonna make a Looney Tunes movie, just make a Looney Tunes movie. Don't try to make it real world and cartoon world. Just go full cartoon.
But the problem is how do you do that? How do you make a Looney Tunes movie that is also a movie? I mean, I recently watched the new SpongeBob movie, A Sponge on the Run, and that has the problem is that a Looney Tunes movie would have. There's no real structure to it. It has a plot, but it's so random and scatterbrained that it's barely a movie. And yeah, Space Jam 2 isn't really a movie, but also a full Looney Tunes movie might have that same problem.
Yeah, because even the like movies they had like that were direct to video were basically clip shows, but they had a overarching movie around it.
Yeah, which we don't want to do again, but we might. Who knows? But I guess a big issue that we haven't talked about yet that Space Jam kind of brings up is this whole idea of nostalgia baiting. I mean, this whole film was marketed as to kids of our generation going, remember Space Jam? You liked Space Jam when you were 5.
Because I liked it when I was 6.
Yeah, maybe you like Space Jam 2 when you're an adult. I'm trying to think we were. So like to me, nostalgia baiting is a huge issue where it's like this whole movie seems to be based off like, hey, remember this? You like this? And then you get the lies, right? Like this was using the nostalgia to sell a product, a streaming service. Hey, remember Space Jam? Or here's all the other Warner shit. Remember Casablanca?
Remember The Matrix?
Remember Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah, that was quite recently.
Like it's sad. Like they're selling lies with nostalgia.
But to be fair, a lot of movies are becoming nostalgia. Like, oh, remember this? Remember that? It's like, can we make something new?
Yeah, well, we don't have anything good to show you, so we're going to show you stuff that you liked before in hopes that makes you like this.
Please give us money. Please buy our stuff. Go out and buy cereal and blankets.
And Funko Pops.
Oh, yeah. Please buy Funko Pops. Buy all the Funko Pops. I'm surprised there wasn't like toy merch in the movie.
Surprised Daffy didn't set up a stand on the side and try to make money off of it.
True. That actually would be in character, more so than he is in this movie.
I know, that's why I'm saying that'd be much more his character than him being Coach.
But just the nostalgia lie thing is such a dystopian, terrifying media premise. Especially like we're seeing it now. So as of this recording, it has not come out yet. It comes out tomorrow from this recording. Master of the Universe Revelation, which they basically made a lie trailer that's not really what the show is, to sell a show that's completely different, nothing to do with the original show.
Basically, the reviews are saying right now it's the Tila show.
Yeah. Which Kevin Smith said it wasn't. He lied to fans to get their nostalgia, to get them to watch his show. That's so despicable. Basically say, these people that are saying Tila show are lying. I never do that. And then that's what you did, you dipshit. You know what you're doing. And Warner Brothers knew what they were doing with Space Jam 2. LeBron knew what he was doing. Like, hey, Space Jam doesn't have to be good because you people will go see it no matter what. That's what Warner Brothers was thinking. Guess what we did? Well, I did. I paid $30 to fucking see them. Joke's on me to have my childhood get murdered in front of me.
We did get a great video out of it, though.
Yeah, maybe we can embed some of the audio into this at random points, so people can feel my pain. But like this was special to me, and they somehow ruined it. Like I knew they would. It's very depressing because I do like Warner Brothers and seeing them go about this route with this movie. I mean, we talked about Ready Player One, Lego movie, but those were done like very loving ways because it's like a big thing with Lego is
Doug doesn't like it either.
Yeah, the dog hates the movie. He hates talking about Space Jam. I'm not quite sure what else to say that won't just give me more depression.
It's over with. We don't.
Yeah, it's done. We'll get more though. It's not over. It is not over.
We could hope it's over with.
The battle's over, but the war's just begun.
Welcome to the future.
I guess it's more. I want people to know: don't just watch this movie because you like the first Space Jam. See it because you want to see. Don't see it because it's a let it down.
And you don't want to.
No. You don't want to. It's barely a movie. It's not funny. It's not. It tries to be like emotional. Like that's the best part is LeBron trying to be like super emotional actor. He's LeBron.
Do you think he wears that do-rag in real life to bed?
I was thinking the same thing.
that was a little odd to me. I know what she states odd.
That's to preserve his hairline.
Jesus Christ.
His receding hair that magically grew back.
That's where half the budget went to, the CGI his hair back.
You know, as much as I hate this movie, maybe that's something we should do with this. If we get enough like subscribers and views and it's worth it, maybe we should make a commentary track for Space Jam 2 and other movies that we hate.
Oh.
Just us, because we're, all our thoughts are all over the place now with this. But if you put me back in the moment, I'm gonna say some shit.
As long as we could drink.
Because I'm trying to like.
I can't see that movie again sober, man. I can't do it.
It was something. And you watched it like in like the day just to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was just watching it while I was doing emails and shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna actually like give this movie my full attention because I don't want to waste my night. So. But
I guess one kind of important question to help us wrap this up: do you think this is the future of movies? Do you think it's just like a passing phase, or do you think it is the future?
Unfortunately, I think it might be part of the future, but God, I hope it isn't.
Yeah, I think certainly. I mean, this is at least for temporary until it like really fails or something. You know, I think the future of like big studio movies for sure. Like they kind of want to keep. You know, it's been building to this direction, right? I don't think I ever thought it would get this bad, but like franchises have been pushing in this direction. So I think that it is the future of like big studio films.
I think it is until they fail. They've been successful so far, which is why they're doing it.
So hopefully we'll have to root for a failure soon.
I mean, this movie I think is kind of a failure. They're trying to market it as a win because it took number one.
And we need a worse one. Like we need like John Carver.
John Carter.
You see exactly. I don't remember its name. Yeah, we need like a real Cats situation here.
See, the problem is we're still in this kind of we're trying to get back to resurgence with movie theaters, but yet also not there. So it's kind of hard to tell what's actually a win and what's a loss. Which
is what's going to make movies like this get sequels that are going to probably tank.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see lots of sequels to pandemic movies that are going to tank. Like Mortal Kombat's probably going to get a sequel that's going to fall apart.
Well, if they actually do the fighting or the arena game or whatever, not the lead up to it, you might actually get more fans.
But there are people that are like, I missed the first one, so I'm not going to see the second one. I think that is a trend you might see with some of these pandemic movies. I think a Space Jam 3, whatever that might be, is going to tank unless it's an actual like legit Looney Tunes movie. And that's the only reason why it'd be successful, because people went to this one for the nostalgia, but they get to like one movie, maybe two.
One.
Because now you have parents, like people our age, right, that have kids that are going to see that movie. Like, I saw Space Jam 1 in the theater, I'll take my kid to see Space Jam 2. It's like a bonding experience.
Yeah, I can't see this getting... I mean, they might do a sequel, but I can't see the fans sticking around if people don't like this one.
Well, there's just something you can't force about the first Space Jam. Like, it's not a good movie, but there's something about it that people gravitate towards. It's got this weird 90s energy to it that's bizarre and strange, but is like kind of endearing. In this movie, in New Legacy, tries to artificially create that feeling.
Well, what the first one has is it's basically the most 90s movie you'll ever see. Kick-ass soundtrack, and it's fun, and it's the Looney Tunes.
But there's, I think, the 90s parts of it, because I know people that I know that are Space Jam fans are not Looney Tune fans. I can tell you that much. And most people, and most Looney Tunes fans I know hate Space Jam. It's a very bizarre dichotomy.
And we're in the middle somewhere.
Which I think is interesting because you have Alex, who's the big NBA guy of the group, me, who's the big Looney Tunes guy of the group, and Justin, who's kind of in the middle. I guess, Alex, you haven't really talked about what you thought about this as a basketball movie.
You can have thoughts. It's a basketball movie.
I mean, it kind of they play.
Well, I don't have. This is not basketball, nor is it a movie.
I mean, for 50 minutes, it better be a good. You'd hope it'd be an actually entertaining game.
Windmill bonus, senior discount. God, that was so stupid. They're just tackling people.
Get it? She's old, so she gets a senior discount.
And LeBron won't let them play normal basketball.
No, he wants them to play normal basketball.
Oh, that's right. I messed up. He wants to play normal basketball. Wants them to play Looney Tunes, but wants them to let them be Looney Tunes characters. Like, that's such like a forced tension, right? Like that, and all the real people being trapped into the game.
I just thought it was funny because freaking Michael Jordan didn't care how they scored. He's just happy they scored. LeBron's like, no, you gotta do it my way. And
you could like rewrite, which seems like LeBron. Actually, it seems more like Michael Jordan too. But there's so many ways you could rewrite this movie. Like, to me, if you're gonna make this a Warner Brothers movie, embrace it as a Warner Brothers movie. Have a Warner character be either like the ref or doing color commentary. Not that weird little light bulb dude who I kind of forgot existed until right this moment. That is only there to sell cute plushies. Like forget him. Make the ref, I don't know, a flying monkey from Wizard of Oz. You know, make Larry David the color commentator or some other Looney Tunes or Warner character. Maybe do you know what the Goon Squad should have been? Professional basketball players merged with Warner characters. That's what I think. Maybe combine Anthony Davis with King Kong. Throw Iron Giant in there. Gandalf, Trinity, like Pennywise. Like, throw the Warner characters in with the basketball characters and have that be the Goon Squad.
You're not that creative.
Embrace Looney Tunes. Make them don't hold off on the Looney Tunes till 30 minutes. Show LG breaking them up early in the film. Give that purpose. Give that reason. Why does LG want them gone? Show a scene where like Bugs Bunny gets up for his day of work and the Looney Tunes are basically doing the same stuff they always do, but it's boring to them except for Bugs. Everyone else is like, this is the same thing every day. This is boring. LG comes like, hey, you can do whatever you want in the Warnerverse, Serververse, and they all go their own separate ways. Give this plot a reason to happen. Make this a fucking movie. But like I said, Justin, that takes too much work.
We'd rather just plug it in an algorithm and see what comes out.
Also, what's really weird too is like this aren't even like the real Looney Tunes, like computer programs. And the film kind of glasses over that, like they're not real. The like NPCs in a video game. Unless Warner created like a bunch of AIs, not just the one, created like a whole series of them, which is a much more terrifying concept. That is like our modern world, right? Company creates like the most advanced AI system in the world and use it to make movies and do like market research.
Pretty much. Then it will take over the world.
LeBron of Thrones.
So cringe.
Anyway, final thoughts. Alex, take us away.
I hate myself. I hate you for making me watch this.
You've given up on this movie.
I don't know. I refuse to give it more thought than they gave it. So there's a certain point where I have nothing more to say about this monstrosity they've created.
I'm pretty sure he gave up 5 minutes in.
I would say may God have mercy on your soul, but honestly, at this point, like,
you deserve it.
Whatever's coming to them, they deserve it.
It's okay. Bugs Bunny will save you. He'll bring you salvation.
He died for our sins. That pretty much sums up this movie. It is awful. Jokes don't land. LeBron is
what
cringy as exactly. He's cringy as hell. Can't act and crappy CGI.
I remember when this got announced and Justin Lin was set to be director. I was like, wait, this might actually be good.
I thought it might be good when Ryan Coogler's name was attached to his producer too, and then it's like, nope.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. The first one is not a good Looney Tunes movie at all, or even really good movie in general. This one somehow makes it look like a very competent
or something,
well-made movie, and I can't believe that. This is an abomination to not just Looney Tunes characters, but to movie making as a whole. It is an advertisement to discuss disguised as a movie to get you to subscribe to HBO Max and watch Warner products. It is not a film. Do not watch it. Do not support it like I did. And if you are, watch it for as cheaply as you can. It's not worth your time really either. It's not worth your money. It's not worth your time.
So get an HBO Max free trial.
They don't have those anymore because of the movie thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because otherwise people will just do for Hulu and just get the emails going.
Never mind.
And use free trials with a new email every time a show you want to see comes out.
Forgot they got rid of that.
But just do it cheap, or even better, go on HBO Max.
Or even don't do it at all.
Well, I was just gonna say, go on HBO Max and watch some old Looney Tunes stuff. Show your kids those. Show them the actual well-made culture. Those guys were artists. They put their all into those shorts. They put their all into those characters. They still hold up to this day. Support that, not this. Do not watch this. Alex, what's your final score out of 5?
What's the lowest I can go? Half?
Yes.
I'm morally obligated to give it the lowest score possible.
Is that because of the corporate stuff?
Yes. It would be it would be down there anyway, but morally I'm obligated to do it.
I'd give it lower if I could, but I'd go in half as well.
I also gave it a half. That's the lowest score available on Letterboxd. I gave it a review. I think this is the first time we've all given, no, a second time, because Cass, we all gave, I think, a half.
Didn't we give Harley Quinn half too?
I gave it a 1, I think.
Can't remember.
But this to me is the definition of a half-star movie. No redeeming value, no real reason to exist. Just terrible. And I have to say that. I really do. I want to like this movie, but I can't support this. This is terrible. I did love leading up to this movie though, because I basically was using this to taunt Alex of Space Jam 2's coming up. Better get ready.
I knew I was going to have to watch it, and it's somehow worse than I anticipated.
Heck, maybe we'll do more of it. Maybe we'll do a commentary when we're drunk one day. Because it's the only reason why we'll actually be able to do one is if we're drinking.
It's going to be a very colorful commentary.
Yeah, no shit. But those are really our thoughts on Space Jam New Legacy. I'm just defeated now. I'm not as angry as I was. We probably should record this right after I watched it because you really got some really good stuff from me. But now I'm a broken man. They did my boy a dirty, and now
seems to be a trend lately.
And now all that remains. But that's all we got for this movie. I think we'll just kind of want to forget it and move on with our lives until the next corporate garbage film comes out. But with that, this has been an episode of Idiot Plot. For Just Nightso and October, I'm David Yanish. Let us know what you thought in the comments or whatever, or don't. I don't care anymore. This has been fun. Not really. Join us on social media, and we'll see you next time with hopefully a much happier, more lively, not depressed discussion.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.